Hello, people. Can you guys hear me okay? Hello. Mic check. Mic check. Ah, Daniel is alive. Yeah. Your signal coming in choppy again, Daniel. Man, I'm only seeing. Oh, wait, type it. Type it. Type what you say. I'm only seeing very few people here. Is was
You
there
seem like still too strong a term for five, but
it seemed like still what?
you still seem like too strong a word for just five.
Did something happen? I mean, was there a earthquake I didn't know about that affected persons coming to class? Or maybe not an actual earthquake. Um, is it an earthquake called studio that's preventing persons from coming today? I see a few people. Welcome, Alex. Welcome, Miss Maduri. Um, I'm wondering what's happening to the rest of classmates. Today is our last visit to infographics. After today, we're done with infographics and we're going to a new topic on Monday. So today is a little bit of a working class. Also a little bit of a review. I did mark all of the submissions. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about them. And then give you some pointers for the assignment that we unveiled last week, right? So we unveiled assignment 2. Let me pull that up on the screen. Go. Right. So last week we had a little class activity. We had, for those of us that came to class, I was just giving away grades left, right, and center, right? We had a class activity where everyone selected their different topic. Oh, okay. I should say on the handout, it says to select any 2, but I changed it to just 1, right? So we are only doing 1 of these, not 2. I need to update this handout. All right, guys. Unless you love infographics so much, you want to do 2, but you only need to do 1. So those who came to class last week, we selected topics for everyone to do. Those topics are shown on the mirror board. There we go here. Where did I put them? Over here. Right, so we did 2 class activities. This was one of them. So everyone selected a topic represented by the symbol, and each symbol corresponds to a particular question, right? So you guys are to create an architectural infographic this time. Last time you created just like a general infographic. This time it's going to be architectural, which means that it's going to be based on a structure, right? Everyone also selected their particular structure, right? So here are the models. This one seemed to be pretty famous. I should have mentioned a little disclaimer. The model that you select here will also be used for your assignment 4. Right. Right, guys? So, not that it affects you. Like, it don't matter which one you select. It's not going to make the assignment easier or harder. All right? So, I want you guys to hold on to your models for sure, even after you finish this assignment. Right, Davidson?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. So, I was having fun marking your assignments. It's always fun to mark assignments, and which is usually not the case. But you know what gives me a little entertainment is the descriptions or the comments that you guys leave behind when you submit the work. Right? Anyway, so if you haven't submitted assignment 1 yet, the clock and the grade is ticking down. So please get it in as soon as you can. Right before I jump into what I'm doing for this class, I wanted to show let's talk a little bit about the first assignment. Okay, all right. Where is that? Okay, here we go. Is Miss Ned here? Ned, you there? No, I don't see you. No, 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 no. Okay. I'll come back to that one. Buchanan, how you doing?
Hello, sir.
All is well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sound like you're hungry, man.
So actually, just
You actually what? Just
I just woke up.
okay. I was about to say the only thing I have here, the only thing I have here that is edible is some work. All right. So I saw you have you had some I guess had some fun with assignment 1. So I wanted to ask you some questions about it. Hold on.
The board system.
Okay, here we go. Yes, I was just trying to bring it up here. All right, cool. All right, you guys can see my screen okay, right? Anybody seen it blurry? But can you recognize this, right?
Think so, sir.
uh, this so I'm just picking some randomly, by the way, guys, because I just wanted to speak about a couple things, right? Um, I saw you. Well, firstly, what software did you use for this one?
Canva Pro.
Oh, Canva. Canva is your weapon of choice. And
I
Canva.
use like yeah.
No, go ahead.
I'm saying like, after I dropped out, I did the first ever program. So
Oh
everything.
man, you kind of go disappearing a little bit with the signal. Hmm. But go on. What you say? You say Canva and what else?
Hello.
Yeah, man, I'm hearing you.
Not a typical program that I use any program that after I draft out the thing first,
Uh-huh.
first thing I have to do continue in the program because I know enough to do everything with the program.
Right. So I was looking on your initial sketch that is here, right? And so I'm glad you said that you do a combination of programs. So for example, like I figured that you say, okay, I need to get the picture of the Jamaica map, the place there. But you also had to do this like a stroke to make it a bit interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what was your programmer choice for that one?
Canva.
That was Canva.
Yeah.
I noticed you have like a lot of, instead of icons, you kind of use like cutout pictures, which is a interesting mix. And I like the color scheme. Now, one of the other reasons why I bring up this is I noticed in your sketch here, so you are highlighting that, all right, you're going to, it's like you want to put 5% of the population, of Jamaica population is Montego Bay, right? But then, I mean, you didn't do that highlight in the final.
I had some big, it wasn't really nervous, start to change.
Okay, I pick up most of what you say, I think.
There.
I hear in a little bit.
Well the way so headphone.
Yeah, it could be because you sound good. It sound maybe you have shots. All right then. Also, you can type as well. So my main critique with this is that graphical wise, I can see that you're kind of going for like a timeline thing, which kind of gives the image a kind of a journey. So I notice you're trying to tie in both of them. That's a challenge to everybody. I gave you 2 infographic, but you have to try and communicate everything on one chart, right? Now, the challenge or the issue with this one is that you left off some key information. So I know that you're talking about Jamaica, and I figure that you're talking about Montego Bay because it's here, but I need to know where in Jamaica is Montego Bay, especially if I'm not from Montego Bay. So, so that key bit of info, I know that you put the graph here, but you would need to still kind of highlight it. You understand?
Yeah, I was supposed to with a stroke in Canva.
Right.
But then
okay.
I wasn't on my iPad.
Okay. Now the other thing And the second thing that you communicate, it was kind of overpowered by the theme. So as it relates to theme, hands down, great theme, right? Meaning the colors go together and you can, you're kind of doing like a timeline thing, but the data, at the end of the day, infographic is about information. So you can never compromise on not showing the data. So we are supposed to say 1% growth per year, which you do have the icon here, which is good, around 1% population increase by here. But I mean, if like, if this was trying to be the growth, like you would probably have to find a different way to represent that growth. You know what I mean? This by itself is telling me 1% growth per year, but I'm not sure if you were trying to do, I like the growth line with this line here, but the graph of growth isn't coming across, but the number is coming across, meaning, so it's more of a, so it's not a chart. So for example, like this is a chart where I can see that clearly that, okay, this is Montego Bay, and this is other, and then Montego Bay is 5% of Jamaica. Like you would need to put the word population here. Like I know you have people behind here, but what I'm saying is that because infographic deals with data, like you can never compromise on the data. I'm using your own as an example because there are a couple others that are there that has a great theme. So the theme is great, but then the data kind of get lost in the theme a little bit. So I'm saying that, so this is just some general feedback for everybody. All right. Right. So that is my main kind of thing in this that I'm communicating to everybody. Just look out for keeping the data as clear as possible. 70, and it's like, I know we're talking about population size and growth trends, but like 71% population, like you would have to add the word people, population, something to make this explicitly clear. Especially this one here, even though it's right here, because at the end of the day, the data have to be clear. All right, cool. And I also wanted to highlight this. This is a good example of like ideation, like you're ideating, like you're saying, okay, how am I going to lay this out? I'm going to put a map at the top. I'm going to have a percentage thing. And what you realize, guys, that this doesn't look exactly like the idea, but it's like I can tell elements from the idea are in the final product. So you don't have to worry about trying to design everything from this sketch. This is just a starting point. And then I'm assuming, Buchanan, that while you were working, you start to say, okay, maybe this would work better here, so this text will work better there, so, and then it kind of morphs into what it wants to be. But the key idea is to kind of start from this. All right, cool. All right, let me just, because time is a-going. As I said, I'm not going through everyone.
Also, Sir Rochelle helped me with the
with the
graphs.
The graph. Okay. All right. There were some persons who, okay, I can tell you right away, guys, one of the most important things to include in your infographic in this one is you have to communicate location. So in architecture, chances are you're talking about a building that's located somewhere. You could be talking about a concept, but most high possibility, a lot of times when you're trying to communicate something in architecture, Location is a big part of it. So for example, Mobe, Jamaica, like those two bits of information, visual information, meaning like a map of some sort, need to be in your infographic. Right? So remember this going forward. So some persons have the data, but they didn't have any map, any kind of location graphics to say, hey, I know we're talking about Mobe, it's in the heading, but where in Jamaica is Montego Bay? Right? So that is just another general feedback for everyone. That's not on this one necessarily. So I didn't want to bring that up there. Okay. What is Pastor, how are you doing?
Okay, sir.
You're okay. All right. What was your weapon of choice for your infographic?
Illustrator.
Ah,
I didn't know we could use Canva, so I used Illustrator.
okay, cool. So here's some. Da-da-da-da. Okay, here we go. It didn't come on. Oh, there it is. Right. So Illustrator was for you, right?
Yes.
Hold on, is it frozen? My mirror board is frozen. Oh Lord. Okay, hold on. Oh great. Okay, give me 1 second. Cool. What was your method? What? I don't know why, Joanne, why you're on just freezing up my mirror board.
My own freezes too, sir. I don't know why.
What's happening? Anyway, I was asking about the map. So what was your method for getting the map?
I went on, I think I can Google got a better image of Jamaica, and I looked into Illustrator, pull apart each parish, you know, and I could highlight each parish and then increase or enlarge St. James and highlight Mobe.
The reason I asked, I know that there's like a 3D option in Illustrator. I was wondering if you ventured on that path.
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Because it does kind of have that 3D look.
I used I think drop shadow and highlight those effects.
Okay. So my only thing with this now in terms of feedback is that, I mean, theme wise, right? If you remember these, we spoke about these steps here. Where is it? So we say, select the type of diagram and chart and look for opportunities, which you did. So you'd say, all right, I'm going to use Jamaica and kind of pull it up and whatever. So those are visual opportunities for you to communicate these. Then you have to look for a theme. So what the theme takes care of is, where was I? Oh, here, right. Yeah, I'm gonna put a title here and just say fine one reviews. Yeah, and I'll make this dark. Right. So in this case, you have the data right? And you have like a method of representing the data. But what the additional thing I would say you need with this now is a theme to tie it together. You understand?
Yes, sir.
That through line. So, you know, on the right, we have an example of, okay, there's a theme here, there's a through line here, like the use of the colors, the use of the, instead of icons, it's like using the black and white pictures and all of that. So theme, but then all of the data wasn't represented. The data kind of got lost a little bit in the theme. But here now you have most of the data represented here. You have the year. The growth thing, it will pass. It's good. Like I can see the growth, and you have the whole human thing, and it's getting larger each time. And you have the 1% there. So it does, that style is how you chose to represent 1% growth, which is fine. But it's almost like you needed some kind of overriding theme or graphics to tie it together, because they're more like individual things on a sheet. You get what I'm saying?
I get you, sir.
Right. Now the thing about this is that if you were designing your studio sheet, so for example, I think I'd put one on this mirror board. Right here, right? So this was my studio sheet. This is a master zone, right? And this is a bunch of sheets. But there are always spaces for you to add graphics, different kinds of information graphics. If you notice, the graphics itself is placed on the sheet. It's not like there is a infographic design and that infographic design is on the sheet, but rather it's elements that make up the infographic that's on the sheet. So in your case, like if you were doing this so that you could put maybe like suppose you just wanted to put this alone on your sheet. You know, maybe you have your sheet here and you want to communicate something about population with your project, and you had a space for it on your sheet layout, and you say, and I'm going to put this graphic here. Then that's fine. When you did it here, you don't need a theme to try to tie it together or whatever, because you're treating them as individual elements to be placed somewhere else. But when they need to stand on their own now, so for example, let's say you're doing a document, you know, like you guys are doing your study tour document, right? You still working on the document to hand in?
Yes, sir, I am.
Right. So that is where each page is kind of like its own composition. So you would want to tie those in together, you know, when it stands by itself. So yeah, so there are a couple persons that have a bunch of charts on a sheet, right? I just choose to pick on you. So I don't feel like says you won, right?
I'm good. Thanks for the feedback.
Right? And the thing is, for infographics, the trick is, how can I tie all of this in together? Now, I saw some persons the infographic was a bit overwhelming because a bunch of information was tied together, which is very easy for infographic to do that. And then I saw some person who does the bare minimum, right? So that's like one extreme to the other. So infographic is kind of like you're balancing, you know, like you're saying, all right, how much information do I want to represent? I need to represent the information clearly, right? Because the whole point of this graphic is it's supposed to communicate, hey, most 5% of Jamaica population lives in Montego Bay, or rather in St. James, and in St. James, X amount of percentage live just in Montego Bay. Like those are your key metrics. So you have to make sure that those are communicated clearly. And then you have to tie it together, weave it together as an infographic, right? So that's kind of the gist, that's kind of the challenge behind this. I saw a few persons that submitted their sheet. Usually we kind of did this backways, because normally I would go through like ideas like this first and then you go and do the infographic, but you know, I think the timing was off. You guys had some stuff, so I said, all right, then we can look on it afterwards. Right. How am I doing on time? Not too bad. All right. As I said, guys, I'm not going through every single one. I'm just drawing a through line for things to. Okay. So, I don't see Shanique. Shanique? Nope. Shanique not here. Nope, nope, nope. Okay. Well, we can always look at the. She can check the recording. Shanique. Here we go. Let me slide for wider. Let's align it so it looks kind of neat. Where did I put this? I put this under infographic. That's fine. I'll put it over here. I wanted to ask Shanique. All right, guys. So what do you notice about this one?
It has a theme.
Right, but what is the most obvious thing that jumps out at you? Guys, most obvious thing? Still looking?
The chart soon.
So for me, the color divide.
You getting warmer, color divide. Not quite there yet. What else?
So the balance, like have a good balance of the theme and the information. Very well done.
Still warm, but not. You kind of go back a little colder there. This is 2 infographics. Meaning, so this is the other part of it, right? So for an infographics, the idea is that you're trying to tie everything together, right? I mean, the information is here, which is good, right? And there are some little issues with maybe fonts and the way that fonts are represented and stuff like that, but that's minor. But this is really like you did 2 separate infographic and put them side by side, right? So you have to remember that a lot of times when you have an infographic, you're trying to represent multiple information together, right? It's almost like you're saving time with an infographic, like you are saving space or trying to be efficient. So I would say that it's almost like this should be one page, and then everything should be woven together in a particular way rather than it being separate items. Now, in some cases, it needs to be separate items. So for example, the study tour document that you're working on, like maybe you're talking about 2 different things, so it needs to be different graphics. But the thing is, the way that infographics is used a lot of times is like to visually summarize a bunch of data. And you don't want to, like, if you have 5 data points, you don't want to have 5 infographic. You kind of want to have one, and things that relate to each other is kind of woven together, right? Also there's a bit much text that is there as well, right? Because, so for example, this information is up here, but it's also represented down here. Remember, infographic is supposed to be layered information on top of each other, right? So because information is layered, it's not supposed to be repeated. You get what I'm saying? Anyway, all right. So I just wanted to highlight some of these things. Um, this doesn't mean that, as I said, this is just general feedback for everyone. And this is the last day that we're spending on infographics. So I'm just trying to get out all of the things that I think you guys need to know about to go forth in the world and do your own graphics. All right. So today we're going to be concentrating on architectural infographics. So that's going to be a little different. It's not so graphic, Photoshop and Canva heavy. Architectural infographic now usually involves using your drawings, using your model, you know, using the thing you produce to turn it into some kind of visual way to represent data. So I'm going to fire up SketchUp, and you guys had some models to choose from. So let me jump over here. Here we go. Talk about infographics. I'm going to put these over here.
So, and for some reason, when I go on the mirror, I can only have to.
Hold on, type what you're saying, because you're going in and out. Type it. All right, so I'm going to choose this building here. And I'm going to use the which one? Well, I'm going to just pick them randomly. So what I want to do is I want to give you some ideas and give you some direction when you're doing your infographic. So I have SketchUp here. And by the way, guys, you can download the model directly from the mirror board. So you can download this. I recommend using SketchUp for this. When you go here, just click on this little source link here, and it will bring up a browser like this, and then you just hit download, and it will download the model. All right, that's how you get it. Now your infographic must include this model. Like it is whatever you're choosing to, whatever your objective is, you have to use this model to represent it. So that's the first thing. Please don't go off and use your own model, because that has happened in the past already. Is there a window that's open and I'm not seeing it somewhere? Oh yes. Okay, here is my tray. Looking for my SketchUp window and I can't find it. Okay, wait. Open. Okay, here we go. Right. So let me go ahead and open this model. There we go. So this is what it looks like. Let me get my mouse. Right, so this is what the model looks like. Oh, what's this? This must be, is this an arrow? Not sure what that is. Yeah, it looks like an arrow. I don't know, I'll just delete it. So, let me bring up one of these questions. Let me put this over here, and let me put this over here. So for those of you who got the one with the clock, the entrance to this building will open at 8 a.m. So in some of you, when you see the word this, it means that you need to select that space on your model. You can decide where this is anywhere on the model. All right, guys? Just looking at these. I'm trying to not give away too much ideas, but so tell you what, guys, if I give you some ideas, anybody who use my ideas, I should grade them harder. What do you think? Fair deal? Fair trade?
As long as it pass, sir.
All right. I was trying to pick one that nobody, though, but everybody I think use most. Okay, so let's use this one for example. The north-facing side of this building receives 20% more sunlight in the summertime and wintertime, right? I mean, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm not gonna refer directly to these questions, right? Because I want you guys to kind of think up how am I going to represent this as an infographic using this building. This is literally what you will do in architecture. This is literally what you're doing in design studio. You're going to have all sorts of metrics that you need to communicate about your design. Chances are most of us have a building design already. You have some kind of party diagram or something. So you want to use that to communicate your ideas. So if I wanted to communicate something like, okay, get my sketch here. All right, let me put it on the mirror board. I'm trying to use the mirror board so that way you guys have the information, you know, in case you don't remember. What did Sir talk about again is like you can go back on the mirror board and see all of the notes that we discussed, right? So I'm going to do it in this vicinity, which is close to the assignment, right? So let me just pull out a sheet here. So let's say, I'm going to make this one. Yeah, I'm going to go here. Let's say, let me make this white. So let's say that I wanted to communicate something to do with percentages and the building, right? I'm not referring to any particular question here. I'm just kind of making this up. So suppose this part of the building here is 30% more energy efficient than this part of the building. I just made that up, right? How can I communicate that in an infographic? Like I can say it in a sentence, right? But this is something that you're going to put on your sheet. You want to just communicate it visually. Now, you could have a graph and put 30% here. And you could say 30% for the A wing and 70% for the B wing, right? We're talking about efficiency here, right? Again, disclaimer, forgive me, I'm just trying to draw with my mouse, which is not recommended. You know, and then, you know, maybe, you know, and then you say, okay, this is the A wing, and then this is the B wing. I mean, there are all sorts of ways that you can communicate this, right? What do you think of this idea? Ashley, what do you think of this idea? I want to represent, to say, part of my building is more energy efficient than the other part.
I don't think it's showing energy. Like I see the numbers saying this part is this percentage, this part is this percentage, but it doesn't say in relation to what.
That's a good point. So the theme would help to bring that out, right? And I mean, I want to say tread carefully because you don't want your idea to come off too cartoony. Is that the right word? Right? Because if you dive too much into theme, you know, I'm talking about the ocean, so I'm going to use a fish. I'm talking about animals, so I'm going to use a dog. Like, not everything has to be necessarily so literal, especially when you're doing an architectural infographic. General infographic, I think it lends itself to being a bit more literal. And some of you that did your infographics, you kind of leaned into that. You know what I mean? But architectural infographic now, I would say, you have to taper how much theme you put into it. Because remember, you have a building that it's kind of your mascot. You know what I mean? It's like, instead of you want to try as much as possible to use your building to represent as much as you can. I would argue that most of you got the marks for using icons in your infographic, because icons is a quick way to communicate something visually. It's very simple, and immediately you can recognize the icon of an airplane or a person or a car or whatever, right? Think of your party diagram as your icon when you're doing an architectural infographic, right? So for example, if I broke this down and I did something like this, and then I did something like this, quite horrible sketches, but you get the idea. Let me. No. Yeah, let me move this. Give it some room. Give it a little room. Oh, right. Let me not add this thing here. So, okay, let me copy that up here. Delete this guy here. So, right. So let's say I sketch this out like this, and then I said, I'm going to try and put back my diagram here. Let me use a different color. Okay, how about I just use a actual oh, I think that this thing auto changes to a circle for me. No, it doesn't. Okay, wow. Oh, it does. All right, lovely. All right, let's make this a bit thicker. Yeah. Right. And then this here is 30% more efficient. So what I'm trying to do here is that I have turned my building into an icon. I don't know if it's recognizable. What do you think, Buchanan? What do you think about this idea?
Sure, you know my mind not working on it. Still I call me name.
Oh yeah, you're right. All right, fine. You can type your idea there. Who I don't hear from yet? I don't hear from Alex yet.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you can only access the mirror board as a viewer. Yes, that's fine. It's set to viewing now, so that's why. Buchanan. Yeah, Alex. So we're here trying to develop this idea. We're saying that we want to communicate that one side of the building is 30% more energy efficient than the other side of the building. So, we say, we could use a chart and thing, or we're trying to develop to build up on that idea. So here what I'm doing is that I'm breaking the building into, I'm turning it basically into icons, which AKA a party diagram. And then I'm putting that back into a chart. What do you think of this way of representing? Anything to add? Would you go a different direction?
I wouldn't, sir.
I would
I would
probably
go
use
different
the
direction.
party itself rather than the chart.
All right.
So probably, yeah. So probably taking apart. So the part that is like 30%. So we can put the 30 there also.
You would just write the 30 directly on it.
Yeah.
And then you just write the 70 directly on it. All right. I was
Or
hearing
use a color or something like that.
Cool. I was hearing somebody else in the background.
All right, sir. I would actually just not go in these directions at all to begin.
Yeah,
sir,
man.
I would use something there. A histogram, I think, when you separate the bar, when you split up the bar, I think I would do that. And then like put the representations of the buildings like above each part of the histogram to show that this part is talking about part A and this part is talking about part B.
Okay, so so you're referring to like a bar chart, like?
Yes, like when you have the bar and it's cut up.
All right, one of those. Okay. So for example, you have one of these bars here, like that, and 30% is here. And how would you type back to your building?
Like when you have it split there, either using the party or like a simplified 3D block.
Right.
Would like call it out from the bar itself.
Okay.
Would you
put the party? Would you put the party there?
Yeah, right above it.
All right.
Yeah, I would like do like a gradient or like a similar color or something like that to ensure that you understand that 30% aligns with the same part and that 70% aligns with the same part.
Cool. So maybe you'd put something like this above that part, like that.
Yes, sir.
And then you put something like this around along the other side. Put this over here. Oops. That. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe something like this.
Similar, but
right. But like, we're ideating.
I had like a party already separate, like not a party, simplified like a massing representation of the building somewhere, and let's say I use specific colors in that massing representation.
Oh, so
like yellow in the first part, and then like
right.
In the second part, I would call back to those colors using that histogram.
Right. So it's almost like half of it here is shaded into let me just so like here is shaded one color, and then you have another color that's shaded here,
right,
like that, and then that corresponds to the shading in the bar down here.
Yes, sir. So that way I can like use different like charts and
to represent different ideas.
Yeah.
And that's great. And guess what? And that is kind of what I want to. My whole reason for like picking you guys' brain and find out where you guys' brains are. And one through line throughout the whole conversation is the word simplification. So what I want you to consider is that whenever you're doing your studio project, always invest in having a simplified version of your model for representing anything, right? So for example, let's say you're using Revit. Let's say that you went through a process where you do your concept or whatever, you work out your floor plan. Now it's just about production. So you need to put your plans together, maybe do a rendered image or something like that. From whenever you are when you're producing your drawings and your model, always invest in also producing a simplified version. So for example, this model, in this case, we don't have a simplified version, so we need to create one. And I would say 80% of the time when you're trying to create any kind of architectural representation, if you have the model already, well, in this assignment, the first step that you guys probably need to do is simplification. So if I was to bring this idea to life, that Rochelle was talking about here, it would be difficult to do it with all of these details, the windows and the doors and all of that. But at the same time, you want to keep the character of your building. There's an opening here, there's an opening here. So sometimes it's not as simple as just putting two boxes together. So perhaps one of the first things that you guys need to do with this model that you're given is you need to simplify it. So what I'm going to do is, what's the shortcut for this again? I can right click and say, select all, select only. Can I select with the same materials? I think I should be able to do that with same selected materials. Actually, no, because it's reading everything as the same material. I might have to do it manually. Anyway, so I'll see if I can just quickly kind of just illustrate what I'm saying here. So we're working with Rochelle's idea, right? Let me grab these. Yeah. Is that everything? Can I grab the base? Yeah. Cool. All right. Right away. Let's move this over here. Right. I mean, if I take this and I change my style. So I don't know if you guys remember back in DDM days, right? We learned about how you can change the styles in SketchUp. This is one of the reasons I recommend SketchUp, because you can do all sorts of stuff. So for example, I can say, I want here, I want to edit this style and make my edges not visible. Then I would end up with something like this. Oh crap, I forgot to select this wall. Anyway, right? Then what else I could do is, let me change this material to something, just should be able to can change it here. Can I? Oh, it's just going to change this one. Oh, that's messed up. Okay, so I could choose to do this material thing here, or I could do it in another program. But if you remember, what I want to do is I want to get a party diagram that I can put in another program and highlight it and do whatever that I want to do with it. The other thing I could do is I could do away with the colors from SketchUp. So I could say, let my model, so this one here, right, display only as black and white. Then I can say, show me edges, but don't, or only show me profiles. Can I do this? Yeah, only show me profiles. All right, maybe, okay, let me use the edges as well. All right, so then my model is becoming a little bit like a party diagram. Then I can take this into another software. So what I'm doing in SketchUp, I'm trying to use SketchUp to simplify the model. I'm trying to use it to prepare the model with stuff I want to show. Now, in this case, I am showing, you know, the plan that we have is we want to highlight one side of the building and another side. We want to turn it into a party diagram. So that's fine. But some of you have some other missions. So for example, some of you have where you talk about a particular room in the building. So maybe for you, it's not simplifying the whole building. Maybe for you, it's cutting the building in half so that you can highlight a particular room. Maybe you do a pull-out or something like that. Whatever your mission is, the idea is that in the 3D program, you try to curate your model. So for example, I would try and get rid, okay, let me, as I left out this wall and that wall. So let me copy them here. Yeah. So probably something else that I would try and do is I would try and get rid of lines where I don't want it. Oh, there's another. Oh, because this is actually an opening. All right, I'm gonna move that. Drop that here. Actually, no, I don't want that because that's a little too detailed. Hey, let me grab this one here. I'll drop that here. Now, another thing that SketchUp has is SketchUp has a lot of these line work. Hold on, let me grab this one. Hi, Brandon. Okay. Right. Was getting another member in my class a while ago. All right, so let me grab these here. And which one is it? Drop it here. So yeah, so what you might notice is that you have all of these lines to deal with. So you need to also simplify this visually. So another reason why I recommend before you go into Photoshop and all these other programs, in SketchUp, if I don't want to see this line that's here, I can double click into it and I can just hide this line. I can double click here and I can just hide the line. So I'm just hiding the line only. So for example, all these double lines that I see here, I can hide this line and I can this one here, right? And I probably want to hide that one. Or probably what I would do is just draw back another one here, right? So this process is called preparing the model. And one of the reasons that we have to do this, oh no, don't delete, right? You have to hide. There we go. So like these double lines that you see here, anytime you have your model coming from Revit or any of your architectural programs, it is going to have these additional lines to deal with. So one strategy is that you can put it into SketchUp and kind of clean it up visually. I'm only going to do a little part here, right? So for those of you that just coming in, this is just giving you some tips and tricks when you are creating your architectural infographics. Like that here. And maybe hide this one. Here. Well, what I will do a view this way. Oops. I will do a view this way. Well, the ideal view, I think, is really this way. This is probably the better view to do here. So maybe I will hide this one here. So. Orlando, how you doing? Are you here, Orlando?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So you understand this process that we're doing here?
Yes, sir.
So if you notice, this looks a little bit cleaner for you to use as a party diagram. You know? All right. Now, the other thing as well is usually with party diagrams, you want to try and well, let's save. You know, we don't want to lose any information. So let's save this. Usually architecturally you represent diagrams as orthographic views. That's another trait. I mean, there's no law that says you can't, but you tend to understand forms a little better when they are like constructed with parallel lines. So I would maybe go to camera and, you know, whatever your mission is. This mission is showing is communicating two different percentages, you know. But your mission could be, as I said, showing something inside or highlighting just one particular wall. It could be you need to cut a section to show it differently. Like everybody has their own mission. So what you have to try and do is translate this example that I'm showing you into your own assignment and question that you're answering. So I'll change this to parallel projection. Then what I'll probably do is I will go back and to edit my style. At this time I'll go to edit here, and I'm going to say over here in my modeling settings, and I'm going to turn off the axis, the model axis, because I don't want to see that line. So this is what I have. Now, if you remember, hopefully from Advanced Computing 1, right? When we're experimenting with hopping from one program to another. When we move this to a different program, ideally we would want to preserve the line work. So what type of file format will preserve the line work as clean as possible? Anybody remember?
You'd have to export it in a vector format.
Exactly, in some kind of vector formats. What are some vector file formats?
The DWG, PDF.
DWG, PDF, right?
SVG.
SVG, exactly. So when I finish preparing my model, and as I said, guys, preparing a model for me meant cleaning up some of these lines, simplifying it, taking out the details. For you, it might be something different. Maybe you're trying to highlight windows, so you're trying to do something with that. You're trying to simplify the windows. Maybe you're trying to cut a model in half. The term preparing a model means do whatever you need to do to prepare the model to then add whatever supporting graphics after, right? And yes, you can use any program to do that, but notice that I'm recommending to use SketchUp because with SketchUp you can hide lines. If I wanted to cut this in half to show something as a section, I could use the section tool to do that, right? But anyway, let me stick to our mission. So we are exporting this view as a 2D graphic. And let's do this on the desktop, and I'll do this as assignment to example. And I'm going to save this as building model. That's fine. So I could use PDF or I could use EPS, which is another file format. that preserves the vector, or I could use DWG as well, depending on where you want to go. Let's use PDF. That is the most compatible. I would suggest you try PDF first, and like if it's not giving you what you want, then you try like EPS or SVG or one of these other ones. So I'm going to choose PDF. Let me see what the options have. I'm not going to change any options. I'm going to leave it and just export. All right, great. So let me jump into Illustrator over here, right? So let's go back to our plan, right? So the plan is we want to kind of shade this thing here, which is relatively simple. Now, all right, so let me open a new letter size document in Illustrator. And I'm gonna go to open. Well, let me go to place. I could go to place. All right, let me go to place rather than opening it. My desktop. I'll build it here. So there's my building there. Then what I'm going to do is embed it, ungroup it, release clipping mask, and now, yes, I have all my lines individually. So there you go. So what I can do, because notice it's scaling a little weird, what I can do is, well, I can either, when I change the size, I can go to stroke. So let me go to window here and open stroke. And I'm going to expand stroke. And can make it 1. Right, now I have it here. I probably would want to group it. Hold on. What's that shortcut again? I don't remember. It's Control G. I don't remember. But the proper way to do it, like if I want to group this here, I can go Object, I can go Group. Right. All right. Now, there are a couple of ways that I can color this thing. You know, if I want to represent this here, I want everything to have one flat color, really. So my suggested way of doing that would probably be putting this on a layer and creating another layer, putting that layer below, locking this layer, and then drawing on the layer below. So I don't know if you remember from DDM days, guys, there is a thing called color guide. Anybody remember color guide? And there's another thing called swatches. There we go. And one more is going to be our library. So we can choose. For now, let me go with nature. I'll choose flowers maybe, and then it will. Where is it? It will give me all flowers colors. So let me just pick one here. And what I'll do is I'll use my pen tool, shortcut P. Now the reason I lock that layer is because what I'm going to do is just trace below that layer. Right, so let me just do up to here. So this is going behind the actual layer, but if I didn't lock it, then I would be modifying that area there. And then from other one, maybe I want to use. The great thing about using the theme tool is that you can pick colors that go well together. Like you don't have to like choose any weird color. So let me go again now and choose, I don't know, a bluish color or something. And I'm picking it from the same flowers theme. So usually if you pick something from the same theme, they will go nicely together. So I'm going to grab my pen tool, shortcut is P. And I'm going to do the same thing now on another layer. So I'm going to lock this layer, create a new layer, and trace below that new layer now. Now, there are many different ways that you could do this, guys. So this is not the only way. This is just how I would do it if I was to achieve what was here. Let's hear some. All right, great. So now I have a party diagram representation here. Then I can do my chart. Now, Illustrator actually has charts that you can use. Sometimes I use it. Sometimes I just build it in another program and then import the PDF. I'm a big fan of building it in another program because sometimes Illustrator give you too much options. So for example, where do I find that again? Graphs or charts, graphic styles. I don't remember what they call it. I remember the icon though. By the way, if you're using the new Illustrator and you're not seeing some of the icons, you need to click on these three dots and then all it will expand here. So this is what you're looking at. This is the graph tool, area tool, pie chart tool. They have a bar chart tool. See, they have a horizontal one. This is the one that that you were looking for, Rochelle. So they actually have this tool built in, and you just draw it there, and then you basically put in your values. So you would say what was it like? Energy. So I would say I'm gonna say energy 1. Let's call it energy 1 and energy 2. And I will do 30 and 70. And this should represent it there for me. Yep. So energy 1 and energy 2, and it will do that chart for me there. So yes, you can do charts in Illustrator, but notice it's just going to give you the raw chart. And the good thing is that you can edit it. I think you can actually, well, you can explode it and then it will no longer be a chart that you can edit this anymore, right? But what you notice here is, if you remember what I spoke about on the mirror board when I was reviewing a couple of examples here, right? So you remember I was saying that, oh no, every time I go to this, it freezes. Anyway, you remember I was saying that you need a theme to tie everything together. Other than that, you're just going to have a bunch of individual charts, right? And in my suggested steps, one of the steps is using other programs to find themes, right? Now, if you're more advanced in graphics, you might have a theme in your head already and you just need to create it. But majority of us would need to look for inspiration from another theme and then kind of put those ideas together and build from that. So for example, if you go on this website here, the one that I showed you the last time, you know, you can get some great themes from, you know, like if you find a bar chart, look at how they do some of these. You know, you can get some ideas from these charts. It's not skewed towards architectural infographic, really. So, you know, it's kind of just general. Oh no. look on different examples that you have here. Pinterest is also a good place that you can go to get ideas and inspirations as well, because that's where you get the colors and what goes together to tie everything together, right? So, but what am I doing with time? I don't want to spend too long here looking for a particular theme. Let me go back here. Group bar charts. This looks kind of interesting. Not exactly the idea that we had before, though. You know what I mean? Like we could grab this here. Let me save this one. Ideally you'd want to save it in your notebook. In this case, I just have mirror board here. You know what this one is inspiring me to do? I mean, we could have I was saying that we could have a way to kind of tie this together with the chart. So for example, we could, sorry guys, I'm just putting this together as we go along. We could kind of have a kind of a highlight. Let me see if I can explain this visually using this crazy sketch here. Right. We could have a kind of a highlight that ties this area to here. So for example, okay, let me switch this around. So I didn't give here a color. Let's make it yellow. Send it to back. It's down like that. That. And then I'm gonna pull this area. You still with me, Rochelle?
Yes, sir.
I
was saying something like that, like actually like having the like a gradient almost fading up into the different colors.
Right. Okay, well, see, our brain's kind of going the same place then. I could try this color here. Right. And then maybe what could happen here is you could have information in here. So maybe your what you're trying to communicate is that okay, we're saying this side is more energy efficient than that side. So let me make this a little broader. I mean, I would probably angle this a little bit better so the fade is behind. So it's not exactly doing what I want. But the thing is, graphically, we could put information in this as well in this area. So we could say, for example, uses, could put maybe solar panels. You know, maybe that's why, oops. Right. Maybe that's why this side is more efficient than the other side. And I'm communicating that here. And maybe I can put HVAC, meaning like AC. So it's like I'm communicating that, hey, this side of the building is 70% more efficient because it uses solar panel. Right? Mic check. Okay, I'm back. Right? What do you think, Sulam?
So,
What was that? Are you following? You following the development of the idea?
so a bit, kind of a little lost, but
Well, if I kind of track back what we're doing, I kind of made up a question. You guys have your own questions. Remember, you guys are trying to achieve this, or for whatever question you choose. I selected a model because what I'm doing here now, I'm simulating what you guys are going to be doing for your assignment. I'm kind of just giving you a guide to go forward. So you guys are going to have an objective that you need to achieve, and you're going to select a model. So one of the first things that we did was, my question was that I gave myself is that I want to say that this side of the building is more energy, or is less energy efficient than this side that I labeled B. So we started by saying, we could use a chart and we could name one side of the chart A and one side of the chart B. But the point of doing architectural infographic is that and for this assignment, you have to use your model, the model that you're given. So if I'm using my model, how can I develop my model to represent this data? That side A uses less or more energy than side B. And one of the first things that we realized is that we need to simplify the model. So I went into SketchUp and show you guys how we can simplify the model. And, I'm not going through that again, but that's what we did. And then we came up with a simple. So after we simplified the model, and this idea came, so we're all ideating together. So Rochelle, I said that what she would do is that she would keep the model together, but shade one side one color and one side the other color. So then that's what we achieved in SketchUp. So I showed you guys how you can prepare the model in SketchUp so that you can export it to whatever program you want to use, Canva or whatever. But before, you can't just take the high detail model into Canva. Like, you need to prepare it. How we prepared it was to remove all the details, leave all the massing, and that's it. Suppose in your case, you wanted to talk about openings or you wanted to talk about cross ventilation. You would probably prepare your model differently. The point is that prepare your model in SketchUp. Then you export that model, which is now a party diagram, into whatever program you want. Now, in our case, this is kind of the idea that we have, that we're going to kind of build this graphic up like this. Now, at this point, you have your ideation diagram. Now you have to actually produce this. And that's what we're doing in Illustrator. Here, my program of choice is Illustrator. Where did you go, Illustrator? Here, right. So, and I'm not gonna go, you guys already know most of the technical stuff already. This course is not teaching you Illustrator or Photoshop. It's just kind of putting you on a direction, right? Here, once you're in Illustrator, of course, you can change the colors. Don't forget that if you realize that this angle doesn't work for you, you could always go back into SketchUp and change the angle, then re-import it again into whatever program you're using. But whatever you're doing, you need to have that guiding light. You can't just jump into Illustrator and start working. You need to use the model and you need to come up with an idea. So you come up with the idea and then you try to do it in Illustrator. Now, the one thing that is missing from this now is, I say my advice to you is to find an example that has a theme that ties everything together and try and work your example into that theme, right? Go on the websites that I show you and find a theme. And I showed you some examples of the difference when you have a theme versus when you don't have a theme, what it looks like. I'm hoping all of this is enough information to get you guys going on your assignment, right? Because that's where I'm going to leave you for you guys to now go and do your assignment too. And this is the last infographic class. So come next week, we're going to move to a whole new topic. So if you have any questions relating to infographic, now would be the time to ask it. Because this is where I'm going to leave you guys. So you said, Dominique, you good? You understand everything that we discussed?
Yes, sir. All good.
What about Sulang? Hopefully you get it now?
Yes, sir.
Right.
So just leave some examples on the mirror board.
Yes, so all of these that I'm doing are on the mirror board. And as usual, you'll have this recording as well. Right?
Okay, yes.
A couple key takeaways. Remember, you have to use the model that you're given. Right? And if I was to break it down in steps, prepare your model. Preparing your model means what? So for example, let me see now. Let me give away some free hints. Anybody that has the time one, the entrance to this building will open at 8 a.m. However, this area is only accessible between the hours of, So probably the persons who have this need to clean up their model, but they need to select an area where it would say this area is only accessible between X and Y. So chances are you're going to be focusing on highlighting maybe the entrances of your model, maybe, right? For those of you who have this one here, 50% of all the rooms in this building are naturally ventilated except this room. That's kind of similar. Maybe for this one, you would want to do a horizontal section, maybe, in terms of preparing your model. So you can experiment with that, right? And hopefully you guys remember how to do a section in SketchUp. Real simple, the icon is there, right? Most of these requires that you simplify the model. Maybe for this one here, that say the building stores 50%, and then it talks about underground below. Maybe you even have to expand your model, or maybe you will do like an elevation and then you're showing the water tanks below. So maybe you have to do a little bit of drawing. So maybe if you're going to use Photoshop or Illustrator, maybe you could use water tank icons to represent that, and then have your percentages around it like that. All right, guys. What I want to say is I want you guys to look on your questions that you have got, right? And you can know the questions that you got by looking on the mirror board and try and visualize, how will I prepare a model? What kind of view am I going to use of this party diagram? Is it going to be a section view, a flat elevation, axonometric? In this case, we use an axonometric. Some of you might need an axonometric section. Some of you might use a perspective section. What I suggest that you do is look up some examples. Use up the Pinterest that you guys probably already use already, and look up some examples of graphics. Right? There's some great examples here that have a lot of diagramming. What you have to remember is that you also have to show data. Some of you have to show percentages and all of these things. So even when you spot something that looks very interesting to you, you might spot this and then you say, maybe I can have a percentage sign somewhere or something like that. Use some of these examples, guys. That is as much as I'm giving you now. The internet is a vast place. Pinterest alone is just an idea haven for you to just get inspired in different ways of how you can represent the your infographics, right? So, all right. So that is going to do it for all of my talking. right? Anybody have any questions?
Sir, could you just show us on where exactly on the mirror board we are going to see our names?
Okay. So when you go on the mirror board, let me zoom out a little bit. This is our entire mirror board, and it's divided into like 3 sections. So we have tips and guidelines. Then in the middle is our main core, what we've been doing in the module. So I'm gonna put this whole example right here in the middle. It's shaded blue. Can't miss it. This is what we discussed this class. I'm gonna just put that, I don't know, like here, maybe here. Yeah, I'll put this up here, right? And I'll label this class example of creating arch infographics. Right. So this was our class example here. These are all the names here. Well, yes. So the names and the model you selected and the question you're doing. Here are all the questions here. And the handout is on the class website. All right.
Sir, I'm not there.
Meaning what? Are you know how to get to the mirror board from the class website, right? So once you click on it.
Sir, my name is not there.
Oh, your name. Oh, okay, your name. So those of you who, let me put this over here. Resource tips. Those of you who haven't selected a question yet, one will be assigned to you. So is there anybody else here who did not select a question?
I haven't.
All right, so one was Rochelle. Just raise your hand so I can see it. So Zachary. All right. So I have the privilege of assigning one to you, right? So I'm going to randomize it. Or I can give you guys the hardest ones. How about that? Huh? I know, and silence is consent, you know, that's all. All right, so Zachary, I'm going to give you the sun. Who else now? Rochelle. Which one you want, Rochelle?
I'm not sure. It's really up to you. It's fine.
No, man, pick one. Which one you want? All right, I'm going to circle you back. LeSean, which one you want? What?
I don't know. Just give me one.
All right, I can take the star, the views.
The star? All right, cool. I'm not going to give you that one.
Thank you, sir. What a life. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you just walk right into that one. I give you the wine glass. All right, I'm just messing with you guys. Right. So yeah, so I am going to assign you one. Because in all fairness, if you remember when we selected them, everybody got a chance to select their icon. They didn't know what the icon represented though. So you guys know what the icon represented, so I have to pick one for you guys in all fairness, right? All right, anybody else? No? So those 3 persons? Okay, so everyone here has a question, right? If you don't have a question, you don't have a grade. So if you know of a classmate that for some reason was not at that class and did not select a question, just tell them to get in contact with me ASAP because I'll be grading based on what I see here on the mirror board. All right, guys. All right, so that is it for class today. That is it for the Orlando. Oh, okay, Orlando. Cool. Hold on. Grab your name.
Building as well.
Yeah. But guess what? You guys can choose your own building. That's fine.
Okay.
Right. So Orlando is gonna get a fish tank. Okay, so come Monday, we're gonna be moving into cinematography. That's going to be our new topic, cinematography. Well, more like film in architecture. So we're turning the page on infographics, and we're gonna stick with that for another couple weeks again. Yep, and that will be it. That is our journey. All right, guys. I hope you guys learned something today, and I hope I put you on the right path to completing your infographic assignment 2. As I say, I already marked the first one, so you guys can go and check out your grades. Just click on the icon. Let me make sure that it's working, by the way. You just need to click on the check. Where is it? View your grades, and oh no, this is last year's grades. Crap. All right.
Yes,
so guys,
I was just about to say that.
Right. Hold on a second. Let me get this fixed. Here we go. Okay, it's coming up, guys. It's coming up. Just give me a second. Put this in red so that it's easily clickable. Okay. All right. So if you go to the website and you hit refresh, you should see it in now red, in a red color. That's how you know it's updated. And okay, hold on a sec. Should be. Okay, there we go. Right, so just refresh, guys, and it should now be visible. So if you scroll across, you will see all the grades there. Your class participation, I will insert those based on our class activities so far. There is a breakdown of every criteria, right? And you see your grade, your reductions. For those of you who submit late, remember it's 1% per day. And then I put some comments. I don't put comments for everybody because I kind of went through them in class. I gave everybody some general feedback. So, and I won't do individual feedback for this one. And this is where you go to find all your grades for all the other upcoming assignments. All right, guys, as per usual. Okay. So that is it, guys. I will leave you now. And I will see you guys again on Monday, right? As usual, remind your classmates that, you never know. Last week we gave away like 4% worth of grades, so you never know when will be a class activity. So the best thing you can do is show up for class and not miss the class, all right? See you tomorrow on Monday. Have a good rest of your weekend, all right?
All right, say bye.
Thanks, sir. You too.
All right, take it easy, guys.
sir. Go.